Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Undercover Comics, coming to you from Seoul, South Korea. This is my comic book pre-order list for May 2020. Now, these are the books that I have personally pre-ordered or will likely purchase via comixology, but this list can and will likely change depending on availability and comic release schedule changes. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so let's start with Indy. Our first indie book is Die Number 11 from Image Comics. This story is written by Kieran Gillen with art by Stephanie Hans. There are two covers for this book, a cover A by Stephanie Hans and a cover B by Ben Oliver. I personally chose the Ben Oliver cover this time. I typically go with Stephanie Hans, but the cover B stole the show for me. This is issue number 11, which is the start of the third volume. In the previous volume, issues 6 through 10, we learned a lot more about the world of Die and by extension the characters themselves. This book is ultimately about self-discovery. Kieran Gillen is doing an excellent job with the story and the pacing, and Stephanie Hans has been amazing with the artwork. I admit at times that the character design can be a bit eerie, but her comic book covers are fantastic, the landscapes are phenomenal, the art is layered, and the tone really fits this genre. I look forward to this issue, and I look forward to continue reading this series. Okay, so our next indie book is Grieveling Number 1 from Clover Press. The story is written by Steve Niles with art by Damian Warm. Now, I'm not the biggest Steve Niles fan. I actually don't appreciate a lot of the work he produces, but I'm going to read the plot synopsis to you and I'll explain to you why I think I might like this book. So, Lily Baxter returns from the grave after she's killed by a gang of teenagers on Halloween night. But now she returns with the power of the Grievelings, and when she figures out how they work, the people who've done her wrong may live to regret it. Now, I love a good revenge story. I love good revenge movies. I love Kill Bill, I Saw the Devil, Lady Vengeance, shout out to Lady Snowblood. These are my favorite types of movies. I love cheesy revenge movies. They are my favorite. So I'm looking forward to this comic. I'm going to give it a shot. I bought one copy. I don't think anything's going to come of it. It may not be that good, but I'm going to give it a chance anyway. Okay, so my final indie book is Spawn number 308 from Image Comics. This story is written by Todd McFarlane with art by Philip Tan. Now, I try to keep up with this comic as often as I can, but I only buy Spawn digitally because the comic is consistently late. In fact, the last 3 times I've ordered this book, it has been late, which throws a monkey wrench in my shipping schedule. Now, comixology doesn't offer a discount of any sort, which is trash, but it guarantees that I don't get pounded on shipping, and pre-ordering Spawn is only 40 cents cheaper. So it's more efficient to order via comixology and potentially save 10 times the cost of the book in shipping. Okay, so let's move into DC Comics. Now, the first DC comic is Batman The Adventures Continue number 1, written by Paul Dini with art by Ty Templeton. Now, I'm super excited for this book because it's from the producers of Batman the Animated Series, which is arguably and objectively the greatest animated series of all time. The production, the musical score, the voice acting, phenomenal. Now, of course, your book won't have these things, but it's a complete nostalgia play, and I can't wait. If that book is even a quarter as good as the animated series, then it is going to be phenomenal. Okay, so the next book up is Batman Volume 3, number 94, written by James Tynion IV with art by Gilliam March. Matina is a phenomenal artist, but I'm going with cover A. I no longer buy Matina covers. It's a personal decision. You do what you want, but cover A is in my bag. Okay, so the next issue up is Justice League, Volume 4, number 46, written by Robert Venditti with art by Zermanico. I hope I'm saying that properly. Justice League so far has been falling kind of flat for me, and I hope it picks up very soon. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have to drop this book. I'll be reading this via comixology. Okay, so the next book up is Strange Adventures, Volume 4, Issue 3, from DC Black Label, written by Tom King with art by Mitch Gerads. I know Tom King failed Batman, but Strange Adventures, Issue 1 was a fantastic read, and I look forward to this series. Okay, so let's move into Marvel Comics. And the first Marvel comic is Daredevil, Volume 6, number 21, written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Marco Checheco. Now, these two guys are the silent assassins. Daredevil, and I say this with a straight face, Daredevil is the best ongoing Marvel title in production today. This book is criminally underrated. Now, it's got no secondary market value, but the story is phenomenal and the art is amazing. Chip Zdarsky and Marco Checheco continue to fire on all cylinders. Don't sleep on this book. If you like hero comics and you haven't read Daredevil, do yourself a favor and go grab the trade. Okay, so the next book up is Juggernaut #1, written by Fabian Nicieza or Fabian Nicieza. I'm not exactly sure how to say it, with artist Ron Garney. Now, Fabian is typically a co-writer. He's written with people like Rob Liefeld, but he's also written for Azrael, Batman Annual, and Trinity. I'm not a huge fan of his work, and to my knowledge, he's never taken the reins of a high-value property, but I like this book for two reasons. One, I have no expectations, and two, the Juggernaut is a D-list character, which in my opinion lends itself to new characters and new team-ups. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to buy it digitally. If I like the book, I'll read it in trade. I hope for the best. Okay, so the next book up is the best Dawn of X title, Marauders #11, written by Jerry Dugan with art by Stefano Caselli. Spoiler alert, the Queen is dead. The Marauders, the Hellfire Trading Company, and all of Krakoa are reeling from the death of Kate Pride. This is the best Dawn of X title, bar none. Excalibur, weak. X-Men, garbage. New Mutants, hot garbage. Emma Frost is a beast. Kate Pride is a beast. In fact, Kate Pride might be my favorite X-Men character right now. But as of now, she is dead, and there are a lot of unanswered questions. But I do know at one point she will return. How she will return and what she will return as, who knows? That's anyone's guess at this point. But Jerry Dugan, you have my full attention, sir. And I'd love to hear your theories down below. Okay, so my final Marvel book for Wednesday, May 6th is going to be Star Wars Bounty Hunters #4. This story is written by Ethan Sachs with art by Paolo Villanelli. The first issue was fantastic, and any Star Wars property that doesn't center around Luke Skywalker or the royal family is going to get my attention. Now don't get me wrong, I love Luke Skywalker, but he's had 9 movies, there's an entire galaxy out there, and I think it's time to move on. Seriously, Marvel, move on. I'm going with the regular cover A by Lee Bermejo, and I look forward to this issue. Okay, so let's move into new releases for Wednesday, May 13th. We always begin with indie, and my first indie book is going to be Bitterroot #9 from Image Comics. This story is written by David Walker with art by Sanford Green. I'm going to go with the cover B Sean Martinborough New Jack City homage cover. I missed the Purple Rain cover, but I pre-ordered 3 copies of this issue, and maybe I'll be able to trade up one day. This comic is an intelligent and creative way of exploring social problems and societal ills. We are only 9 issues into this comic, so if you want to read something new and you haven't begun reading this book yet, go ahead and check it out. It's highly recommended, and I look forward to this issue. Okay, so the next book up is Last Night of Sate Hagen #2 by Dark Horse Comics, written by Mike Mignola with art by Lee Lowridge. Okay, so the first issue of this book comes out on April 15th. It looks extremely interesting. I love Mike Mignola's take on horror and the occult, and I'm going to read the first arc. Okay, so that brings us to DC Comics, and my first DC comic is going to be Dark Knight's Death Metal #1, written by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo. I'm going to go with the regular cover A by Greg Capullo. It's a cardstock foil cover, which is a little more expensive, but to me this is a no-brainer. Dark Knight's Metal was the comic series that brought me back into comic collecting. I really love the Dark Multiverse, but I feel like there's been an oversaturation of the Bat Who Laughs. I look forward to them going back to the drawing board and bringing us some new material, and I really look forward to this series. The next issue up is going to be Hawkman Volume 5, #24, written by Robert Venditti with art by Fernando Persarin. Hawkman is one of my favorite characters, but Robert Venditti has not kept my attention. This issue is a pure cover buy. I'm going with the cover B variant by Gerardo Zaffino, and I hope this issue picks up. If it does not, I will have to drop this series or buy it via digital comixology. Okay, so that brings us to Marvel Comics, and our first Marvel book is going to be Venom Volume 4, issue #26, written by Donny Cates with art by Mark Bagley. I do wish Stegman was back on interior art, but Mark Bagley is an excellent substitute, and I will be going with the cover A by Ryan Stegman. Okay, so let's move into new releases for Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. We always begin with indie, and the first indie book is Bang #4 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Matt Kent with art by Wilfredo Torres. Issue #1 was solid, and I look forward to this issue. Okay, so the next book up is Sea of Sorrows #1 from IDW Comics, written by Rich Duke with art by Alex Cormack. This is the creative team behind Road of Bones. I love their take on horror. The plot synopsis sounds excellent, and I can't wait for this issue. Okay, so that brings us into DC Comics. My first DC comic is Batman Secret Files Volume 2, issue #3, written by James Tynion IV with art by Sumit Kumar. Sumit Kumar is one of my favorite artists. This is a Batman spin-off issue, but this volume started back in October 2018 with Tom King. In this issue, we learn about the origins and motivations behind the cabal of assassins, and the plot synopsis alludes to the reveal of Deathstroke's boss. So, I'm going to pick this issue up. If you're a Batman fan, maybe you want to check this out, but no promises here. It just seems like it may be a good issue. Okay, so the next book up is Nightwing Volume 4, issue number 72, written by Dan Jurgens with art by Ronan Clickett. In this issue, Punchline and Nightwing face off. I'm going to read this digitally, but if you decide to pick up a physical copy of this book, you may want to consider going with the Travis Moore cover A because it's got Punchline on the front cover. Okay, so that brings us into Marvel Comics, and full disclosure, I typically pull out of Marvel Comics during summer because it's the season of their huge Marvel event, and if you're not familiar, every summer Marvel puts on some huge event. Last summer it was War of the Realms, this summer it is Empire. I'm not a huge fan of these Marvel events because they pull characters and franchises and creators out of their own storylines and into an event. And during this time, Marvel floods the shelves with tie-ins and one-shots. It's a bit confusing. You're never sure which comics matter, which issues matter, if any at all. And so for me as a reader, I typically pull my money out of Marvel and put it into indie comics and somewhere where I think my time and attention would be better served. Okay, so with that said, I will give you a few issues to keep an eye out for. The first issue up is going to be Captain Marvel, Volume 9, issue number 19. If I pick this up at all, I will pick up the regular cover A by Jorge Molina. Again, this is an Empire tie-in, so I'm not expecting a whole lot, but Kelly Thompson has kept a very consistent pace with this story. She's introduced some good characters, and no matter how much you want to hate on Captain Marvel and the direction of this comic, she is writing a good story. So I will pick this up, maybe read it via comixology, and I'll keep it pushing. The next book up is Giant Size X-Men Phantom X number 1. If I buy this book, I will go with the regular cover A by Rob Reese. And the final book that I will be picking up, I actually have ordered 3 copies of this book, is Thor Volume 6, issue number 6. Thor has been fantastic so far. I will continue buying this book, and I look forward to this issue. Okay, so let's look into new releases for Wednesday, May 27th, 2020. We always begin with indie, and the first indie book is That Texas Blood number 1 from Image Comics, written by Chris Condon with art by Jacob Phillips. This is a new ongoing series described as a mature neo-Western crime series. I'm extremely excited for this book. I love Westerns, I love crime sagas, and I am all in. Okay, so the next book up is Tomorrow number 4 from Dark Horse Comics. This story is written by Peter Milligan with art by Jesus Hervas. I thought issue number 1 was pretty cool, and therefore I'm going to read this digitally. Okay, so that moves us into DC Comics, and my first DC comic is going to be Red Hood Outlaw number 46, and I will be reading this digitally. Okay, and my final book for DC is going to be Justice League Dark Volume 2, issue number 23, written by James Tynion IV with art by Kyle Hotz. This is a super slept on book. I buy every issue, but I typically buy them digitally. Tynion knows the characters, he keeps a great pace, and the stories are fun. Okay, with that said, I'm going to wrap this up. These are the comic books that I pre-ordered or will read via comixology. As mentioned before, this is not a complete list by any stretch of the imagination. Marvel, DC, and larger publishers keep a very tight schedule, but indie publishers are consistently introducing new titles and pushing release dates. So this book list will grow over time. Let me know in the comments down below if I missed anything. Tell me what you're reading. If you enjoyed this video whatsoever, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.